Hey folks, back again with the ancient cosmology. Um, trying to make good comparisons of enclosure D. This the main problem, the biggest problem is how small the actual head of this one is. So have to show well, like I had to kind of zoom in on this so the head and the beak can be pretty well visible. But the trade-off is that I have less of the mainland, less of North America, um, and I don't have room there for the Olympic Peninsula and the Salish Sea, which are, the Olympic is its other wing. But, it's hard to get a comparison that shows every single thing in it well. But I don't know. I'll probably keep tinkering around with it. I was realizing I don't think I did show the Cinderella stuff in previous videos, or at least I couldn't find any videos that were titled anything about that. So I did touch on it in a couple videos ago, but I wasn't sure if I had already done so I didn't go too deep with it, but I'll try to cover it more fully. Let's see. So I'm not sure how much of this I have shown. I think I showed Tlaloc and this Bible verse that seems to be from Egyptian religion, where says the Lord weighs the hearts, which is like this. And even like in modern, courts and stuff, they have this symbol, the weighing the scales of justice. It's basically an Egyptian or at least a pagan concept. Ancient religious symbolism. Let's see. Yeah, so this is what is this lake called? Let's see, Rio Grande de Santiago, Lake Chapala. So I'm thinking that this is from the Book of Two Ways of General Seppi in Egypt, 4,000 years old. And I'm thinking that, like in a lot of these, they are shown in a different position than they really are. So I'm actually suspecting this lake, which is called Fledgling Lake by the Egyptians, Lake Chapala, that its head as a bird is actually this bit of whatever that is there, that's the shape of its head kind of nestled back into its feathers like this. So that matches, that kind of explains more why the lake is called this. And even other parts of the surroundings could, kind of look like feathers. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's possible that this avatar of North America might be an early iteration of Re, the sun god of Egypt. He does seem to be associated with the sun, probably. This is Falcon Lake in the Book of Two Ways, the Rio Grande. What else? Wow, this thing is so weird. I was like scrolling and all of a sudden clicking through it, and then it wouldn't let me click anymore. Gotta love it. So Ray, is shown as a bird similarly, and it could even be that like this solar disk, in the Göbekli one, his solar disk is in his hand, but in the Egyptian, it's often on his head. So it could actually be that, that if this is his beak, it could be that his eye is meant to be around here, and that this, which is the eye, one of his eyes in the Göbekli avatar, in the Egyptian, maybe this represent the Aten, the sun, solar disk. And then, it could be that this snake part could be like maybe this little island sandbar could be this part of the snake, and then the back part, tail, could be something that comes out the other side somewhere. It's hard showing this because I'm not like a photo editor extraordinaire, but they show Salish Sea without Vancouver Island in it, so it's hard for me to show that. I just do kind of makeshift ways to paste water over the islands. Lake Chapala, there's the bird's head. And yeah, it does kind of look feathery. So there's, the Pacific Ocean, Rio Grande de Santiago, Lake Chapala, and the Rio Grande down here, Falcon Lake. And then Baja. So let's see. So this, I think, is the earliest story of Cinderella. So they're talking about a pyramid, they say. It's said to be the tomb of a courtesan built by her lovers, and whose name, according to Sappho the poetess, was Doris. She was the mistress of her brother Charaxus, who traded to the port of Nicratis with wine of Lesbos. Others call her Rhodopis, which seems to mean red-faced. Story is told of her that when she was bathing, an eagle snatched one of her sandals from the hands of her female attendant and carried it to Memphis. The eagle, soaring over the head of the king, who was administering justice at the time, let the sandal fall into his lap. The king, struck with the shape of the sandal and the singularity of the accident, sent over the country to discover the woman to whom it belonged. She was found in the city of Necratis and brought to the king, who made her his wife. At her death, she was honored with the above-mentioned tomb. So this is in like a 1,000-year-old book, or 2,000-year-old book. Well, it's Strabo's geography, so it might be about 2,000 years old. I'm not really sure. But it's, considered to be the first kind of oldest maybe book that's just a generalized book about geography. The fact it has this story is more indication that this story is about geography. So it's saying Necratis is this island. So I think this is actually one of her shoes. I think this is also one of her shoes. They have a kind of similar shape, like a very high arch, big heel, kind of flat on the end of the toes. And so this was probably a song line that incorporated much of the area and seemed to have gone beyond that. So I think the joke of the story is that actually she had these pretty shoes, but that her actual feet, that these are her feet, and that her feet are weird, gnarly feet that actually point backwards. Like this would be her head. This is in Turkey, like Anatolia coast. And it's basically right where it was saying, like this, like Necratis is here, Lesbos is here. So it's referring to the exact area that Strabo is referencing. And so, yeah, this would be her head, which is a little bit reddish, which would fit the name. And then, I don't know, these might be her boobs or something. And then these would be her legs and feet here, and her dress or whatever. And she's like a hunchback, seems like. So that's the joke, that, don't agree to marry somebody just based on their shoes, unless like you're cool with whoever it's gonna be. So yeah, there's definitely like a recognizable toe there. And like backwards feet that are found in multiple mythological characters, including referencing geography. So this is part of Lesbos nearby there. So this might represent one of the sisters, because I think the sisters might actually be hot. And that's kind of the joke too, that they're, I don't know, there's a bunch of jokes in it, I think. Strabo is giving a shortened version of the myth. It seems like the Brothers Grimm give a more complete version, maybe. But yeah, this would be her feet, boobs, face, for maybe one of the sisters. And this could either be that this is a foot and this is a foot, or I was thinking that this is a foot and this is a foot. And so yeah, this is in the Baltic Sea, or is it the Baltic? The Caspian Sea. I always mix those names up. So I think this relates to it too, that this is one of the sisters. This is like in the northeastern Caucasus, coastline. So what does it say here? And said to him, "No one shall be my wife, but she whose foot this golden slipper," so this is the golden slipper, "fits." Then were the two sisters glad, for they had pretty feet. this is a pretty foot relative to the others, to the Cinderella one or whatever it is in Turkey. The eldest went with the shoe into her room. And so I think her room might be just the Caspian Sea altogether. And there might be another sister, maybe Thrace, whose room is the Black Sea or the kind of little sea between Sea of Marmara or whatever it's called, between Black Sea and the Aegean. The eldest, so this is the eldest daughter, maybe, went into her room, the Caspian Sea, tried to get it on, and her mother, so I'm thinking this is her mother. The nose, the eye, the hair, the chin, the mouth. But she could not get her big toe into it, and the shoe was too small for her. Then her mother gave her a knife and said, "Cut the toe off. When thou art queen, thou wilt have no more need to go on foot." So then the mother gives her the knife, which is this little island here, which I enlarged, and it's really shaped like a knife. I mean, Google Earth like split the image in half, but I think that's the coastal shape. And said, "Cut the toe off." So the maiden cut the toe off. This is how like real religion, is. That's why the Bible is so gnarly, because it's just funny stories to memorize geography. And anybody who uses it for anything else is probably going to have a bad time. She cut the toe off, forced the foot into the shoe. So this is the foot. You can kind of see where the toe got cut off there. Swallowed the pain and went out to the king's son. Then he took her on his horse as his bride and rode away with her. They were, however, obliged to pass the grave, and there on the hazel tree sat the two pigeons and cried, turn and peep, there's blood within the shoe."